I'm back again, and the only reason I'm back is I was told that I could have to come back until I get it right. So I'm going to provide a little bit of information to you today about a famous person from our history. And I believe that the song Lift Every Voice typifies this particular person, because that's exactly what he did. And as I did the research, I became educated on a lot of things that I did not know about this person. And I think that we should all know more about this particular person. And what I plan to do in the next few minutes is to share some facts about him. A little bit different from my normal presentation, but I think it's important that you know more about this person, and perhaps you will be inspired enough to go and Google him and read about who he was and what he did and why we are here. Before Malcolm X, by any means necessary, there was Frederick Douglass. The white man's happiness cannot be purchased by the black man's misery. Before Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream, there was Frederick Douglass's Without a Struggle, there can be no progress. Yes. And before President Obama's Yes We Can, there was Frederick Douglass's Power conceives nothing without a demand. It never has, and it never will. Frederick Douglass is one of the most important black Americans in the history of this country. He has been called the father of the civil rights movement. He rose through determination, brilliance, and eloquence to shape the American nation. He was an abolitionist, human rights and women's rights activist, orator, author, journalist, publisher, social reformer, and advisor to the president. He left a mark in history that neither Clorox, Ajax, or Mr. Clean can remove. He was born Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey on a plantation in Maryland. His mother was a slave, and when he was born, he became a slave. He didn't know who his father was, though he became convinced that his father must have been a white man. He did not know the exact date of his birth, but later picked February the 14th to celebrate as his birthday, and estimated that he was born in 1818. He was soon separated from his mother. He would later say, "I never saw my mother. To know her as such more than 4 or 5 times in my life, and each of these times was very short in duration and at night." So he lived with his grandmother. At the age of 12, he began receiving reading lessons from his master's wife, even though it was illegal to teach slaves to read. When Massa found this out, he stopped it. He took away the teacher from the student, but he couldn't take away the teacher within the student. Douglass quickly and secretly taught himself to read and write by observing others and watching the white children in their studies. He was soon reading newspapers, magazines, and books. Through his reading of political journals, he was able to put a face to the horrors of slavery. He began to form views on human rights and how people should be treated. He taught other slaves how to read, including how to read passages from the New Testament. Other slave owners became angry and destroyed the congregation in which Frederick Douglass taught. He was moved to another plantation where he was beaten by the slave owner in an effort to break his spirit. This only strengthened Douglass's resolve to gain his freedom, perhaps providing street credit to Kelly Clarkson's song lyric, "What does not kill you makes you stronger." In 1838, he disguised himself as a sailor and carried papers that showed he was a free black seaman. He boarded a train to the north to New York as supposedly a free man. He later became free in 1847. Before Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus, Frederick Douglass refused to give up his seat on the train. They threw him off the train, but he held on to his seat. He married Anna Murray, a free black woman, and he took the last name Douglass from a character in the book he read. They settled down in New Bedford, Massachusetts, had 5 children, and remained married for 44 years. In Massachusetts, Douglass joined the abolitionists, the people who wanted to abolish slavery. He began to speak at meetings about his experiences as a slave. This was his true calling. He was an excellent speaker who moved people with his story. He became famous as a result of this. In New York, he published a newspaper called the North Star. The newspaper's motto was, "Right is not a sex. Truth is no color. God is the Father of us all, and we are all brethren." In the presidential election of 1860, Frederick Douglass supported Abraham Lincoln. After Lincoln's election and the outbreak of the Civil War, Douglass continued to press for the freedom of slaves and a new cause, the introduction of black soldiers into the Union Army. In 1863, both happened. Lincoln issued the Emancipation in 1863, and Congress passed a law approving black soldiers in the Army. After the war, Douglass took up a new campaign, giving blacks the right to vote. He campaigned for Ulysses S. Grant for president. 2 years after Grant took office in 1870, the 15th Amendment took effect, guaranteeing blacks the right to vote. Douglass was later named Marshal for Washington, D.C. For this job, he oversaw the criminal justice system in the nation's capital. Frederick Douglass died in February 20th, 1882, yet his voice continues to be heard. In 1967 and 1995, the United States Parcel Service released a postage stamp bearing his image. In the vernacular of today's tweeting society, Frederick Douglass was #1 bad brother.